discussing the book The Hunger Games. Just to go a little bit more into what I knew prior to reading the books, I knew there was a girl named Katniss, and I knew that she had a bow and arrow primarily in what seemed to be a game of killing children by forcing them to kill each other. And that is pretty much the entire premise I had heard. Because I never really went into discussions on it, I was just like, that sounds like a cool concept, and moved on the conversation. I also knew there were these guys, Peeta and Gale, and they were involved with Katniss. I wasn't exactly sure if it was a love triangle or not. A lot of people made it seem like that, though. And I knew about Finnick and his ultimate fate at the end of the series because of this fan art I saw. So I really didn't go in with a whole lot of knowledge, even after seeing some of the stuff from the trailer that just was released. And I just dove head into the book. I would say that The Hunger Games is a well-crafted book. I do think it is. I do think it's a quality book, and I think it's got a good plot, a good cast of characters, and it's how do I say this? Its message, I think, would be or its moral, however you want to put it. It's there. I can see it. Do I necessarily connect to the books, and do I have the urge to reread the book and go on to the next book just because I need to know what happens? Not necessarily. And I think, for me, that's a very personal thing. I don't think that my lack of interest in the series at that point really reflected on the series quality, because for me, I'm a very character-driven person. If I don't connect to the character, even if all I do is hate and despise a character, but if I don't connect to that character, I'm not going to be interested. And so, because I didn't connect in particular with Katniss, and it's all told through her point of view, I was very much less interested in the series than probably other people would be. Now, I did connect to Peeta, though. I really just, if there's anyone in this series that I just want to drag out and hug and tell him it's gonna be okay, it's Peeta. And so that's mainly he's the reason I went on and read this next two book in the series. What were my specific issues with the first book? I'm angry that at first, in the first book, just in the Hunger Games itself, until we get to the games and we see what happens with Katniss, I'm angry there's no resistance. I'm angry that there's just, it seems like there's no bigger plan, like there's no underground plan at that point. Gale as a love interest, that, I don't know. Like, maybe I was assuming too much with the way some people had discussed as a love triangle, but I just expected there to be more of a romantic connection between him and Katniss. To me, it seemed like a mutual codependency is what they had. A very almost unhealthy brother-sister relationship. That's what it came out to me. And to be honest, unless she was specifically talking about Gale, he escaped my mind. He wasn't in the background like, oh God, what does Gale think of this? Oh God, what must Gale think when he sees this? Until she mentions, I thought of what Gale would think. I was like, oh, completely out of my mind. And again, I didn't connect to Katniss. She is the protagonist. She is the main person throughout this entire series, and I didn't connect to her. Now, whether that's an issue on me or maybe the way she's been written, I don't know. I'm leaving that up for other people to discuss. The ending of the book, that seemed very abrupt, and it didn't seem like the right place to end it to me. And I think that's what hooked me in. I was like, there's no way it ends right there. And I knew there was a second book, but I was like, why would the book end there? And I was just confused by it. So overall, the first book intrigued me in some ways, but in a lot of ways, it didn't hook me as a fan.